Hello everyone. A few weeks ago, I saw a video by Rose Honey Ritual where she was sharing her tarot story, and I believe it's a VR that she was doing to someone. I probably should have looked up who the first person was, but I mentioned to Meg that I was going to record my own my tarot story video. So this is that video. Thank you for joining me. If you are new to my channel, my name is Diana, Unearthing the Gift, and I do a variety of different videos. I have tarot videos, but lately I've also been sharing more about my journaling processes. So how I first started to use the tarot is an interesting story. Hopefully, I have been using the tarot for the last 6 years, and this was my very first deck that I purchased. It is the Rider-Waite-Smith, and I first, before I started to use the tarot, okay, so let me see. The beginning of this story is I was always somebody who was very curious, and I worked or read a lot about self-development, and so I was already in that like self-help, self-development group, I guess, of the population. So a few years before learning about the tarot, I had been reading the book A Course in Miracles by not by Marianne Williamson, but I was introduced to A Course in Miracles by Marianne Williamson, and I don't have the course with me. It's in my bookshelf. So I was reading that, and I was following someone on Instagram who was a student of A Course in Miracles, and all of a sudden this person started having some interesting looking cards on her Instagram account, and I'm pretty sure she had the Mary Oracle by Elena Fairchild. So I was curious about that, and I was following someone else who also had who was also a student of A Course in Miracles, and they also had a tarot deck. It was the Wild Unknown, and this was around the time that the Wild Unknown was really popular. So I was curious, and I kept seeing these cards, so then I started looking into them, found out that they were tarot cards. And before that, I did know about fortune telling and reading cards, but I had never actually seen a tarot deck or held one or even had any interest in it. So I started on Instagram just following a few people who used the tarot, and I started a few months went by where I was going back and forth on whether I should buy a tarot deck. Should I go down that path, or is that taking me away from my other path that I felt I was on? So I remember asking around, and I actually remember following Carrie Mallon, and I commented on a post by her, and I asked her for her recommendations for a tarot deck for someone who's new. And she said that I should probably find a deck that I feel I resonate with, but she also recommended the Rider-Waite-Smith because it's a good foundational deck for people to learn the imagery and the symbols before moving on to different decks. So I went to look for the deck, and I purchased it. And at first, this was the very first deck, the very only deck I had. Obviously, if you are in the tarot community, you know that it doesn't last very long. Having one deck doesn't last very long. So pretty soon after that, I purchased a few more. I think my second deck was the Anna K Tarot. And then I purchased an Oracle deck. And I'm pretty sure I also purchased the Tarot de las Femmes Erotiques. I think that's what it's called. I still have that deck. I traded it, but then I purchased it again because I felt like I should not have traded it. So that's how I started using the tarot. And I followed people on Instagram, and I joined a challenge that was happening back in 2015, and I started journaling and just beginning to learn about the tarot by using the cards, by following people on Instagram, going to BD Tarot's website to look at the card meanings, and yeah, so that's how I was introduced to the tarot. And I guess since it's been 6 years, I was sometimes, you pick up different hobbies or interests, and they don't stay with you forever, I guess. Sometimes you move into different things, but the tarot for me is a hobby or a interest that I have stayed with, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to not be interested in tarot anytime soon. It's so expansive and broad, and there's always so much more to learn. So in that sense, it's a great thing to study and pick up, because there will literally be nothing. There will never be a time when you already like know everything you need to know. Let's see. So the way that I use tarot is I do read for other people. I also read for myself. I use it as a tool to help me learn more about myself, to help me assess different situations. I use it for journaling, for art making. Like I said, I do have a lot more decks that I didn't bring for this video because I wanted to just focus on this one since it was my first tarot deck. This is not the deck I use the most, actually. I have a few other Rider-Waite-Smith decks and Rider-Waite-Smith clone decks, and I actually don't even use this one very often, but it has a special place in my heart since it was the gateway for everything that happened in my life after after accepting the tarot into my heart. Everything that happened afterwards. And so I keep it in this bag that I sewed myself from a onesie from one of my daughters after it didn't fit her anymore. The onesies always have this beautiful fabric with patterns and just really cute. So I didn't want to throw away the onesie, and so I made it into a bag for my tarot deck. And then a few years ago, I added this obsidian stone to keep it company. What else did I want to say about my story? Oh, so after spending some time learning the tarot, like I said, there's not a, for me at least, there isn't a point where I feel like I have learned everything there is to learn about the tarot. There's different decks that will give you different levels of understanding or different dimensions into the understanding of the tarot. So for me, it's a lifelong study. And so in addition to reading the tarot for yourself or for other people, you can also use the tarot to study magic. There's a lot of symbolism, esoteric symbolism included in the tarot. And I am interested in magic. I've read books about magic, but I wouldn't say that I have enough knowledge to like speak about that. But it's definitely another dimension of the tarot that I am interested in, and I'm always looking forward to learning more about. So maybe I can, to give you something to look at, I'll just flip through the cards. But yeah, so I am very grateful that I found this tool, and even though it has led me to amass a pretty large collection of decks, lately I feel like I don't want to purchase any new decks, and I really want to go through my collection and assess the types of decks I have to see if there's different decks that maybe I don't have and would benefit from having. That could just be me trying to justify why I want to buy more decks. But also there's, through learning the tarot, not just like reading one deck of card, like specifically one deck of cards for the rest of your life, but even through the self-awareness of what interests you, what deck styles, art style, um, reading style you feel called to, that's all information that you can use to learn more about yourself. So if you are on a journey to know who you are, I would say that the tarot is one of the best tools. The tarot, in addition to writing, I would say, are journaling, are some of the best tools that you can have at your disposal for learning about yourself. And not just learning about yourself, but also learning about the situations in your life, learning about your relationships with people. If I had to pick one thing to bring with me if I was going to be stranded on an island somewhere, and in addition to food, I probably would want to bring a tarot deck and a journal and a pen or a pencil or something that doesn't run out of ink, so that I could just explore them and read about them. Let's see. So in addition to the self-knowledge, I really do like to use tarot as a creative tool. So I do readings for myself about my creativity. I do readings to connect with the muse through the tarot, even to be inspired by the artwork in the decks that I own. That's another way that you can use a tarot. Some decks I've mentioned that are great at not that they are great at storytelling, but they're great for storytelling. So that's another thing that I really enjoy doing with the tarot. And since I am hoping to be more intentional about this dream I have of being an author, I might start using the tarot more for that, and then sharing some videos with you guys about how that's going and how I'm using the tarot for writing. So if you are new to the cards, or if you're curious to learn about them, I do recommend getting one deck that you feel called to use, a deck that you enjoy using, because you do have to like the imagery in order to connect with it and to be able to come back to it. I also do recommend starting with the Rider-Waite-Smith, maybe not this one, maybe a different version, just because you want to get the foundational knowledge, and then you can read any other deck. So there's the Rider-Waite-Smith is one system of tarot. There's also the Thoth deck, and there's also the Marseille tarot decks, which would need a different video. But don't be intimidated by the cards, but do know that it takes time to learn the system. But the best thing you could do if you want to learn to use tarot is to just get yourself a deck and start using it on yourself, keeping track of your readings in your journal, asking questions. Every time you look at the cards, you will see something that maybe you didn't see before, and the kind of question or mindset that you're in also affects what stands out to you in the particular moment. So in that sense, that's why you would think that having a deck with 78 cards would get boring or old after a while. You know what every card means, but the tarot is like a living thing that you're interacting with, that responds to you and your own life experience. So that is why it's such an interesting thing to continue learning, and that's why I feel that for the rest of my life I will always be a student of tarot. So thank you so much for tuning in for this story of how I started reading the tarot, and I hope that it was interesting. I hope that you are also inspired maybe to do your own tarot story and share it with us. Let me know in the comments. Thank you.